Hello friends! So today I'm starting my educational series about investing and I finally feel like a grown-up YouTuber. I wanted to start with talking about dividends because dividends is my favorite part about investing. And I know a lot of people would say it's not the most important part and it's not justifiable picking a stock because dividends, but I am a dividend investor and it's not a choice because I'm a little bit addicted to getting passive income pretty often. So I think getting that excitement and understanding of how much you could make by investing in shares and funds is to me probably what made the biggest difference because it made me really excited to, oh, I could get paid by this stock this month and that stock the other month and they're gonna pay me different month and this is so exciting and tell me how much they're gonna pay me and when. What am I buying? So today I'm just gonna go through what is a dividend, how do we check how much each company is gonna pay us, when are they gonna pay us, what rules do we have to follow in order to get paid by a certain date and important dates that we need to look at. And it's all very, very basic things that I kind of learned because I found it exciting and I was curious about how much I could make potentially. So I really hope that having a light, fun, interesting introduction to investing might make the other concepts easier. But let's get started and I'll show you everything I know so far about dividends. So I decided to just get started and Google the word dividend and just leave the definition here in case anybody wants to read more about it or Wikipedia it. I'm not gonna really go through it. I just want to say that it's a distribution of profits by a corporation to its shareholders, and that's okay for me, but I think I have an easier way, hopefully an easier way to explain it. So let's just take an example for it. I'm just gonna take Vanguard FTSE 100 and I'm gonna search for their dividend. Simply just Google it. And personally, I prefer to look for Hargreaves Lansdown, my favorite platform to view things. I've actually viewed this before. And I'm just gonna click on HL just because they have a really good breakdown of all the figures. And I know this could be looking a little bit overwhelming if it's the first time you're looking at it. But for now, we're just gonna make sure that we are aware of like the title, we are of the FTSE 100 fund by Vanguard, and the ticker symbol as well, VUKE, because that's the ticker we're going to use to buy the fund. Now you can literally type Vanguard FTSE 100 in any trading platform and you would find it, but it's always good to know the ticker to not a purchase for a company that is not the one you want. And that sounds silly, but that has actually happened to people. And I'll just give an example. Like if I search for Tesco, say, I can't spell Tesco, but whatever, we're always gonna get more things like TSCO. This one is the right one, I know because I have it, but C31CM, these are different ticker symbols, and it's really easy to click on the wrong one and buy something else if you don't know where to look at the ticker symbol. In some cases it doesn't happen all that often, but it does happen, so I'm just making you aware to buy the right one. And how we check that it's the right one, like if you click on it, it's just gonna tell me, oh, my computer's being very, very slow. It's just gonna tell me it's Tesco PLC, and if you're not sure what is the ticker symbol for it, you can just Google it, like simply, and look for share price. And that's gonna just give me Tesco PLC, and I already have here the ticker symbol and the definition and the logo, so I'm sure this is the right one and it makes sense. Let's go back. I'm so sorry, I'm getting on my tangent, but very simply, we're just looking at the title, and you've just learned what's a ticker symbol if you didn't know that. But I'm really sorry for my friends who are investors and they're watching my videos. Just, I don't know why they're watching my videos. I appreciate it, I'm very grateful, but like, stop watching my videos if you know all these basic stuff. Okay, thank you. And then the thing we want to look at is dividend yield. So I always look for this. I feel like my eyes always fall on this segment. If I'm looking for a new company and I'm just searching for it on Hargreaves Lansdown, my eyes automatically go to the middle of the page, this bottom row, dividend yield, how much it's gonna pay me. And I kind of see it, I think the easiest way to explain what's a dividend is the percentage they will pay you. So it's kind of like an interest rate, like you put the money in the bank and this is the amount you're going to get annually 3.92% of the value of the things you invest, of the money you invest. So if you buy £28 worth of this fund, you're going to get 3.92% return, which I think it's really brilliant. It's much higher than it can be in most banks nowadays. I think in all banks nowadays. It is not as secure, of course, it's the stock market after all. So this is a value we are told we will receive as a bonus pay. And it does fluctuate. And this year with the coronavirus, of course, there have been companies that have cut their dividends entirely. So it is a risk there. But there's also companies that have increased their dividends. So that thing might. And this has also nothing to do with how much the value of the share itself will grow. So if you put £28 today, if you buy one share, in a year's time, maybe it's going to be 29, 30 or 27, or I don't know, it can be any value in a year's time. But that has nothing to do with, well, it has with the financials of the company, but with your pay. We're separating this. It's one way to make money from dividend pay, and that's why I say I'm a dividend investor, because I'm always looking for these values to be high and to get them consistently for the dividends. But a growth investor might focus on just growing their share price and not as much on the dividends. There are companies that don't pay dividends at all, and that should mean that they are more growth stocks. They're focusing on growing their share price and not really paying the investors a dividend. Hopefully that makes sense. For me, this is a really good dividend. I am really happy with this fund. It's the fund that I have most of my money invested in, and it's the 100 biggest companies in the UK, so I think it's relatively secure, a secure investment. It's not S&P 500, but for the UK I think this is quite a good fund. I know there's also FTSE 250, which I don't have anything invested, but I told myself I'm going to look into that as well one day. And then the next thing I asked myself, this one I know it, but if it's a new stock, I'm going to look at the dividend yield, and my next question is going to be like, okay, when are they going to pay me? How often are they going to pay me? And for that, I'm just going to scroll to the bottom of the page, because I know them by heart, because this is my addiction. And I'm just going to look at the dividend section that tells me how frequently they're going to pay me. So they're going to pay quarterly, 4 times a year. It gives me once again the yield, 3.92. Is that the same as above? Yeah, it's the same as above. I'm just losing it a little bit. And then there are 2 important dates we need to know in terms of dividends, and the only dates I started with when I first learned about dividends. What's the deal with these dates? The payment date. So I'm expecting my next pay for this one to be in April, and it's always going to give me the next dividend pay date. And the ex-dividend day, it's already explained here, but you will qualify for the next dividend providing you hold the product before this date. So everything I buy before 26th of March, I will receive a dividend pay by the 8th of April. If I buy on the 27th of March, the value that I bought on the 27th of March, I won't get a payment on the 8th of April, but I will get a payment in the next dividend pay, which is 24th of June. And it keeps going like this forever. We can keep checking it going forward. And one other thing worth mentioning, to not get your hopes too high up, this is the amount for the year. So it's divided by 4, paid quarterly, and on the 8th of April you're going to get 1/4 of this percentage of whatever you have invested before March. I feel like that sentence explains everything, but I also feel like it's a little bit confusing. Let me say it again slower. So this is the annual pay you will get, but it's going to be split into 4 quarters. So you're going to get this amount split by 4 in each of the payment date. And in this 8th of April, you're going to get 1/4 of this amount from whatever you have invested before the ex-dividend date. I really hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I hope it's not too confusing. We are going to look at another company just to make sure that these are explained properly. One other thing while we're here, I think is quite easy to learn, is if you're looking at the fund, is this top 10 things. You can look at the top 10 exposures. It's just the companies that they are invested in. So you can see that the FTSE 100 has holding in AstraZeneca, Unilever, BP, so quite a few companies, Royal Dutch Shell. Maybe that has been dragging him down a little bit here, all the oil stock going down this year. But then we have the top 10 sectors, and we can of course see also the weight, how much they are invested in this particular area. the top sector invested in pharmaceutical in biotechnology, personal care, bank, tobacco, beverages. And then top 10 countries, we've got, of course, the UK, 93% of the stock. But we also have a little bit of exposure to a few other countries. But the majority, of course, is FTSE 100. 100 biggest companies in the UK. And since we were looking at Tesco, and I recently bought some Tesco stocks as well, I decided that whatever I have leftovers from my weekly grocery shop, I am going to buy Tesco shares or whatever supermarket share I feel like that week. And that's just what I do with my savings if anybody wants to tag along. But there we go, we have Tesco once again, the price to sell and the price to buy. Ticker symbol, very important to make sure we buy the right Tesco when we do want to purchase this. 3.88, once again, I think it's a really good dividend yield. You can kind of see how I go for my stock choices. Maybe not the best idea to always go by the dividend. I do a little bit of extra research as well, but I am very heavily influenced by dividends and I do find it exciting, so I'm really sorry for that. I just hope I can at least pass a little bit of the enthusiasm to you. And once again, let's go to the bottom of the page. We already know. Oh, and we have our recent dividend. Okay, so this is a different setup and that can be confusing. Maybe I should have picked another company, but actually no, it's good to see different setups for Hargreaves Lansdown. So for Tesco, they don't have it split in the same way. They have the ex-dividend here, they have the payment date, and they have the type, which gives us how often they pay it, and we can see interim final, interim final, interim final, or we can look at 2020, they've paid twice, 2019 they paid twice, or look at the payment date, doesn't matter, but that means they pay biannually, they pay twice a year. And once again, I will look at the payment date. So next one is going to be in 27th of November. Maybe this is a bit more realistic to look at something that would directly impact you in the short term, because the other one was like April, but this is 27th of November. I'm filming this on 19th of November, so it's really soon. I would be excited to get a payment for Tesco because I put like £50 in it, except I've put my £50 like a week ago and we can see the ex-dividend date was 15th of October. So I'm not gonna qualify to get a dividend pay from them. I should have bought before this ex-dividend date to receive the payment from Tesco on 27th of November. But that's fine, it happens. I'm just gonna get the next payment date, so I've not qualified for the next one, but I'm gonna qualify for the next one, which seems like it's gonna be in, what is this, July. So I'm just gonna look at, well, I don't have it yet, but I imagine 2021 is gonna be similar, either June or July, taking the past dates into account. And it does seem like the split is not 50-50, so you're not gonna get 50% of the dividend pay. I don't know, 6-3. It's an odd split, I can't think of the percentages, but it's not really evenly split, which is fine. Once again, it doesn't really matter. You're getting the same amount over the year, it just different companies split it in different ways. And that's why they call them the interim and the final. I guess the final is when they pay the higher amount. And this one also seems to have the annual dividend history, which is interesting to look at. And we can see that Tesco hasn't been paying dividends for that long. 2016, 2017, they've not paid any, which, I don't know, some people might be suspicious and say they don't have such a long history with dividend. Is it really worth it? But not me, obviously. But I've not put that much into it, so I'm not doing very dangerous purchases here for anybody worried about my well-being. And then in 2018 they had 1.5, 2019 2.6, and 2020 4%. So they have increased their dividend year by year. In 2021, or whatever it's considered this one to be, obviously we have the 388, so they have decreased it a little bit from the 4% they declared at the beginning of the year. But again, it's expected with everything going on. A lot of companies have decreased their dividends, but it's not an ideal sign to see a company that has decreased their dividend. But I quite like how they progressed 2018, 19, 20. It has increased gradually, and for me, 388, you know what, it's really good. Okay, so let's look at one other company just to make sure we understand where to look for dividends and make it a little bit clear. And I personally really like to look at fun companies that get me excited, and I feel like I'm so cool, I have stock in this company that I know about. And yeah, I'm just gonna look at Porsche. Don't judge me, please, do not judge me. So it's already here, PAH3. I just like the idea of telling people like, oh, I just bought a little bit of Porsche yesterday. It's not no big deal. Once again, my eyes go to the dividend, and you can see how easily I am influenced by the dividend, because again, 3.86. There are higher dividends, like, don't get me wrong, but these are quite good paying dividend companies. And Porsche is not a popular one. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone holding Porsche. I'm sure there are people who hold Porsche as a company, but I just came across it randomly, and I was like, oh, that would be so cool to just have the little Porsche logo in my portfolio. And that's no reason that you should be investing like that. I only wanted to look at it because it's quite an exciting, you feel quite cool like an investor looking at Porsche to see if it's a good investing for you. And I did just only want to look at Porsche from the point of view that it's quite fun and exciting to, like, oh my god, we are analyzing Porsche as investors, like, look at us, we are so important. Also, did you guys know that Porsche is held by Volkswagen? I didn't know that, so obviously I am very clued up on this particular stock. Also, they don't have details of recent dividend and annual dividend, so maybe it's good that this happened. So we're going to have to go to a different website for it. But I really wanted to show you on Hardwood Lansdowne how to like practice doing this. So let's pick randomly. I'll just pick Sainsbury's. So I'll just go with Sainsbury's. Hopefully they have detail. Again, I'm not recommending any of these stocks. I'm just showing you, well, I know some of them I do have investing in it, but I don't have anything in Sainsbury's. Dividend yield 1.49. Not my kind of things. I prefer Sainsbury's for no particular reason other than they pay me more. But let's also check their dividend data. Hopefully they have it. Yes, they do have it. Okay, so they call them a special, interim, and the final. Well, that's fun. I'm a bit confused on what this special is. I don't know why they're doing this. It seems like it's going in December, but it's the same as their interim. I guess they're just adding a little bit extra to their investors. Again, I'm not clued up on Sainsbury's. I would have to Google why is Sainsbury adding a special dividend, and thanks Sainsbury's, why are you doing that? I don't have anything invested in them. But I would just see it's interim and final. It seems like it's the main ones, and they have this special thing that confuses me. But looking at the payment, it's once again in 2020, 2019, twice, biannually once again. And we have the ex-dividend date of 12th of November. So it's good now I know that Sainsbury's is paying a special dividend, because I can't get it. I have no chance because I've not bought Sainsbury's before this date. But if I did, I would have gotten this special dividend along with my interim dividend. Otherwise, it seems like their next dividend is going to be once again around June, July, with an ex-dividend date about a month earlier. So the ex-dividend date is kind of their way of making sure you held the stock for at least a month or around a month before. I don't know, it really varies from one company to another, but they want to make sure you have hold their stock for a while before they pay you their dividend, because otherwise people would just buy like on the 17th, get the payment on the 18th, and then sell it on the 19th. And it's really, a lot of people do that. They look at ex-dividend dates and they track all these things to buy before and sell after, buy before, sell after, just get the dividends and leave. To me, it sounds like a really big headache, but I don't know, some people do that. And then let's actually look at Porsche dividend, what did we say? Dividend pay? Now let's look at the dividend payment date. So the most secure way is obviously to go to the Porsche website and see, and actually, yeah, let's go and see. I kind of find it confusing to use like different websites, because every company has a different setup, and it's giving me the value in euros and not as a percentage, and it's from 2019. So Porsche, just get up to speed. But one other website is the top one. I like Dividend Max as well. I feel like this is something I've checked quite a few times instead of If it's not on Hargreaves Lansdown, I would go to Dividend Max, and I found it quite reliable. And once again, we have a similar setup. We can see the ex-dividend date and the payment date. And it seems like the next payment is in June. And they have quite a... See how close this is. Ex-dividend date 25th. You just have to hold it for 4 days. And they're going to pay you on 29th. So this is quite a good stock for the people that do buy and sell right after. And of course, that means that they also pay biannually. We have the October and the June one. And yeah, dividend yield today, was that the same? I don't know, sometimes these percentages seem to vary from one website to another. Now I can't remember. You can go back to the video if you want to double check, but kind of remember 88, or I'm mistaken with one of the other ones. Whatever, it's pretty close, maybe they rounded up. So I really do hope that this has been somewhat helpful and interesting, and let me know if there's any comments or questions or concerns, and I'll be happy to answer them. And if you would like to continue this learning journey with me, next class is going to be about how we value a stock and how we decide if a stock is worth buying or not as an investor. But until next time, class dismissed. Goodbye, see you later.